So I want to heal my relationship with food. I want to have a normal, healthy relationship with food. How do I stop the calorie counting? This comes up time and time again when I'm working with clients for obvious reasons, and I have my own personal experience with this as well, because we all know that typically calorie counting is not really in line with the vision that we have of having a normal, healthy relationship with food, and we know at some point we might want to be giving this up. And how can we? And there are two parts to this that I want to talk about today. There's the feeling comfortable enough to make that decision of stopping the calorie counting, which is a huge decision for a lot of us. And then once that decision's been made, then there's the how do I stop the automatic calorie counting that's going on inside of my head without really meaning to. If you're new around here, welcome. My name's Rachael. I'm a nutritional therapist and a disordered eating recovery coach, and I specifically help women who are struggling with dieting and binge eating and food obsession and perhaps emotional eating to find a normal, healthy relationship with food so they can find their natural healthy weight, make peace with food, and start thriving in life. Here's the thing. It has been years since I've personally calorie counted. It's just not something that I engage in, and I haven't for a very, very long time. But I still know the calories in most foods, and I don't think that that's ever forgotten for a lot of us. And that's okay. We can have that information inside of our head, but not bring it out to use. So how can we get to the point where we're comfortable giving up calorie counting? And I'm just going to talk from my experience, my personal experience and my professional experience working with clients. So as always, just pick and choose what seems relevant and helpful to you. I think the really important question is, if we're not going to be focusing on calorie counting, what are we going to be focusing on? And getting really clear on that and where we're going and where we're heading towards, I found to be really helpful. So I can't speak for you, but when clients come to me, these are the sorts of things that they say. I want to be eating a largely nutritious diet, but I also want to be flexible. I want to have a balanced appetite, and I want to be able to hear my appetite cues and be able to respond to them. And I want to support my health and energy overall. Those are some of the common goals that tend to come up time and time again. And in line with that as well, a lot of my clients also need the reassurance, if they're going to stop the calorie counting, that there is a way that they can not calorie count and over time find and maintain their natural healthy weight. One of the common concerns, which I'm sure you can relate to, is if I stop calorie counting, what if I'm just eating too much and end up just gaining more and more and more weight? Like for me, let's take me as an example. I never feel the need to calorie count, in part because I have the first-hand evidence of being weight stable, in good energy, in good health, honoring my appetite cues, having a balanced appetite, and just letting that guide what I eat, when I eat, and how much I eat. So I think if you can't work with someone personally, one-to-one, which is always what I would suggest if you are able to, trying to learn as much as you can about how the body regulates weight and regulates its appetite without the need for calorie counting can be really, really helpful. Obviously, with my clients, I do that for them. But if you don't want to or can't work with me or someone else, then there's so much information online that you can learn this for yourself. And essentially, though, it boils down to, if I'm just going to take the key points from it, we can find and achieve our natural healthy weight. We can support ourselves doing that by having a balanced appetite and hearing and honoring our appetite cues and eating a largely nutritious diet and living an active lifestyle. So gaining trust in that is true, I'd say, is step one. And then working towards those goals, I'd say then is step two. And it is nerve-wracking. I'm so empathetic to that at the start when we don't have the evidence for ourselves of that this is what's going to work for us. So there is an element there of having faith. The urge to calorie count in my clients, typically, once they're at a point where they are weight stable, balanced appetite, eating freely, but eating a lot of nutritious food. For them at that point, that's when the idea of calorie counting almost becomes a little bit redundant. And sometimes when I'm working with clients, it depends on their preference and their goals and where they're at, but we might intentionally introduce some structure, you know, having breakfast and then lunch and then dinner and a couple of snacks, sort of as a bridging gap between calorie counting and full-blown intuitive or free eating, if you like. And then that can usually help them in balancing their appetite, hearing their appetite cues, and feeling a little bit more confident about not counting calories, and then we can sort of build on from there. I hope that makes sense. So that's that side of it in a nutshell. If you have more questions about that, you can leave them down below. I'll be happy to answer them, or come and write them in our Facebook community. What about the I want to stop calorie counting, I've made that decision, I'm perhaps on the path of doing that, but the automatic calorie counting is still going on, I can't seem to help it. Firstly, have a little bit of compassion for yourself with this, because for some of us, the calorie counting is such a deeply ingrained habit that it can just take a little bit of time to deprogram that out. I think the important thing when we're talking about a habit, essentially, a deeply ingrained habit, it's really important often to be aware that first it is a habit, then be consciously aware of when we're engaging in it, and then to be able to let that go. And if we do that consistently, even if we don't immediately stop mentally calorie counting from day one, with consistency, it should start to diminish the less and less we actively engage in those thoughts. So if we can catch ourselves adding up the calories in our breakfast and catch ourselves in just, okay, but that's not something that I'm doing, and dismiss it. But again, in order to do that and to be consistent with that, we really need to have, from my experience, a strong reason why we're doing it, so that we're not tempted to engage in the calorie counting when it comes up. And that comes back to, no, I've decided I'm not calorie counting. I'm instead working on finding my appetite cues and honoring my appetite cues, and building up a nutritious diet and living an active lifestyle and taking care of myself. These are the things that I'm focusing on, and I trust that that will promote health and my natural healthy weight over time. If you're aiming to move from calorie counting, whether that's intentional or unintentional calorie counting at this point, to a normal, healthy, balanced relationship with food, making peace with food and finding your natural healthy weight over time through doing that, and you want to discuss your personal journey with me and what that might look like, then you're very welcome to book a call with me down below. We can go through it. Thank you so much for watching, lovelies, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.